Rather lads, welcome back to Cossy Arsenal Podcast. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to brand new video. Arsenal 5, Monaco 4 on penalties. Arsenal are champions. These are my player ratings for each and every player out there in that Emirates Cup final. Hit the like button, subscribe to the podcast as well, and rank and rate these players out of 10 with me. Now, Aaron Ramsdale, I'll give him a 9 out of 10 actually, because he saved a penalty that brought Arsenal glory. We did score our 5 penalties, but it needed some extra saving. We needed our goalkeeper to save one penalty. Now, he's very, very poor at penalties as a goalkeeper, but I think that is an area of his game that he actually needs to work on. If you're going to be an Arsenal goalkeeper, if you're going to be a goalkeeper for a big side, England, I mean, so many people have said that he should be England's number 1. I think he should still be Arsenal's number 1. He must work on his penalties. He really needs to work on his on his area of the game, that is penalties. But generally, I thought he was much better today. Very confident. The saves he made in that game against Alexander Golovin, at least that one was very, very good. It's a good goalkeeper. I think many people will start looking at him as one of those goalkeepers that I think we have weak hands. Many people will have to look at him with a lot of skepticism, but I don't think he's actually called for. He's a very, very good goalkeeper. At only 25, you don't get many goalkeepers as good as Aaron Ramsdale, and he's only going to get better. I expect him to become much, much better next season if he stays as our number 1. And in this game, I'm not going to lie, I was impressed. The way he was sweeping away the balls, the way he was collecting those corners. He's got to work on those crosses coming into the penalty area. He did concede a couple of stupid goals last campaign from crosses, but I think he was just all right. I think it was okay. Okay, now at right back, it's very, very difficult to decide who played there. Tomiyasu played there, and of course, Gilles Timber played there as well. But we're going to go with Gilles Timber at right back. And Timber is just sensational, isn't he? He's a player that doesn't seem to amuse me. He's a player that doesn't seem to, he amazes me. His confidence, his balance between attack and defense, his aggressiveness as well. He's one of those players that were made for the Premier League. His height is one of the things we talk about, and probably we misprofile him and we say, look, he's not that tall, he's not that huge for a centre back, but maybe he was never even meant to be a centre back. This guy is a very good ball player. Like, I've not seen as many good ball players as Gilles Timber. So I'll give him an 8 out of 10 in this game. His performances were very, very good. I think he's one of those players that don't get exposed in any way, shape or form. Now, still, for a centre back, for a right back, he's still a young player. He's still developing. He needs to get used to the environment at Arsenal, to the environment in the UK, to the environment in the Premier League. But he has started off very, very well, Gilles Timber. He's really, really started off very well. If he can continue on that trajectory, we have a very, very good player in there. Takehiro Tomiyasu played at left back and right back as well. So you will have seen him on the right hand side of defense and also on the left hand side of the defense as well. Now, with Takehiro Tomiyasu, I'll give him a 7 out of 10 in this game. I think he was a little bit exposed, and that actually calls for what I said earlier on this channel, that Jakub Kiwior should be the player playing alongside Gabriel in that back four. I think Kiwior is a much better player than Takehiro Tomiyasu and in what Mikel Arteta is trying to do and the system is trying to implement. But Tomiyasu, again, is a fine centre-back. If you played him in a back 3, he's all right. I'll give him a 7 out of 10. I don't think it really did cause a lot of trouble, but there were times where he was caught out, especially look at that goal that we conceded. Gabriel Martinelli and Takehiro Tomiyasu should be there. They were not there, right? But I'm going to say 7 out of 10. Again, not a bad performance at all. Jakub Kiwior impressed me a lot. He really, really did impress me a lot. He's one of those players that are actually slowly but surely growing into the favorites of Arsenal, of the Arsenal fans. I think Kiwior is a very technical player, but he's also a very, very quality player. I mean, when we signed him initially, we all knew about his passing range. We all knew about his ability on the ball, but none of us really seemed to be that interested about, what Kivior really offers. But in these games in preseason, we've actually seen what a player like Jakub Kivior offers. So he's your Alexander Zichenko, but more defensively astute and less offensively aggressive. So in the final third, he won't give you these aggressive numbers, these mind-blowing numbers of Alexander Zichenko, the passing range, the assists, the pass that leads to the pass, and the pass itself. At times, he's not that guy. But what he does is he will fit in, he will fill in for Alexander Zichenko, and he has the ability to balance between going in the offensive third and coming back into the defensive third, and he balances very well. That's the team feels very, very comfortable and very safe. Now, today he played at centre back. Again, it highlights the ability he's got as a player. He will be cover for Gabriel, but he will be match cover for Alexander Zichenko as well. So he was very, very good today, and I still expect him to become better. I still expect him to be a much better player. So we can go with an 8 out of 10 for Jakub Kivior. William Saliba, an 8 out of 10 as well. Best centre-back, best young centre-back in Europe, best young centre-back in the world. Arsenal just lucky to have him. He's one of the players that I'm going to say have become better after coming from injury. I think we did see it with Gabriel Jesus. He became better when he came back from injury. But Saliba's become much better. Like when he came back, you didn't sense that, nervousness. You didn't expect. You didn't. You don't see how changed he is, and he's actually changed for the better, not for the worse. I think he's fast. He's still as fast as we know him. He's still very strong in tackles. And yes, there are questions whether he should have picked up a second yellow card. He was lucky not to pick up a second yellow card, but it was kind of a friendly game. So there was no need for us to pick up red cards. So William Saliba, 8 out of 10. Very good player. Very, very good. Actually, in games where we play oppositions with two strikers, like today, you could see Golovin playing as a support striker to Wissam Ben Yedder. I think one of them, who was Wissam Ben Yedder, was actually very, very quiet, and Alexander Golovin was very, very active. That's because William Saliba concentrated on Wissam Ben Yedder, and Golovin actually had a lot of time and a lot of space to run into and do whatever he wanted. But Saliba had a very, very good game. Thomas Partey, 8 out of 10. Partey had a very good game. I mean, there was that kind of tussle between him and Yusuf Fofana. Yusuf Fofana was my player of the game. Fofana was absolutely magnificent. I think the two players that I've actually liked from that Monaco side, Yusuf Fofana and Alexander Golovin, they've been absolutely brilliant. But still, Thomas Partey gives you that reason why you need to pick him every single day. He gives you that reason why you need to pick him every now and then. He's so defensively solid, but his ball distribution is very, very good. Now, the amount of times he played that ball into Fabio Vieira, and we'll get to talk about Fabio Vieira, is he played that game, that ball so many times. My problem with Fabio Vieira is at times that he's not your Bukayo Saka, so he will not use that kind of pace, and he will always be looking to cut and find support, or cut and come inside, rather than as opposed to Saka, who literally wants to blow the defenders away. But Partey, he was again very good, and it's another game that reminds us how lucky we are to have him, and that he must be playing almost every single game. That actually has to cause selection headaches for Mikel Arteta. Emile Smith-Rowe played in the Martin Odegaard position. Emile Smith-Rowe, I'll give a 5 out of 10. It's gonna be cruel, it's gonna be harsh, but I don't think Emile Smith-Rowe really plays there. I don't think he's comfortable there. I don't think that is his best position. I don't think Mikel Arteta has done him a lot of good service by playing him there. 5 out of 10 is quite average, but that was the performance I saw from Emile Smith-Rowe today. It was very, very average. I didn't see that kind of enthusiasm that you get from players like Martin Odegaard. You saw the game when Martin Odegaard actually came in. It changed for the better. I don't think Arsenal get that when Emil Smith Rowe plays in the position, and there are not so many players that will give Arsenal that when they play there. Declan Rice, I give him a 6 out of 10. He's not yet there. I don't want people starting to defend him. I've seen already Twitter accounts praising his passing accuracy and this and this and that. He's not yet there. He's not yet there. We know how good Rice is, and he's so self-critical because there was one ball that he played. He was trying to play it into Edin Ketia, I think, and then it just went out of play, and he was absolutely frustrated with himself. It's one of the key qualities he has that not so many Arsenal players actually have. So he's one of those players that I think will eventually come good. He's not yet there, but you can see there are some of the facets of his game that are already displaying. He loves to be on the ball, he loves to dribble a little bit, and he loves to... I mean, there was that chance he created for himself into the penalty area, and I was like, if you bury that, it could just help your confidence a lot more. But I'm expecting Declan Rice to start more games, and I'm expecting him to be a much better player than what we have already seen. Gabriel Martinelli, 9 out of 10. That boy, I tell you something, that boy is going to be a key highlight for us next season. Martinelli played very well today. He was taking on players, he was running at players, he was coming back to cover defensively, and he was getting himself into the penalty area. The one thing that annoys me about Martinelli, it actually annoyed me about him during the back end of last season, he stopped taking on players, he stopped getting himself into the penalty area, and he literally stopped his business. I don't understand. You're a very, very good player. You have 2 feet. You have that left foot that is very good. You also have that right foot that is very good. You can invert inside. You can go on the outside. Use your talent. He's done that today, and it was magnificent. The assist as well. I think he brought in a couple of good corners, around 3. We should have buried at least 2 of them. But you can see the quality there. You can really see the quality in Martinelli. 9 out of 10. Fabio Vieira, 7 out of 10. My boy played some big chunk of minutes today. And I've already said that give him the minutes. He's a magician. He's a technician. He's going to come around. Now, what people have to know and what people have to understand, Riyad Mahrez and Bernardo Silva do not play the same way. So this is what we are directly looking at here. You don't expect the Saka vibes from Fabio Vieira. So you don't expect him to be running a lot. You don't expect him to be the highest position player on the pitch. You don't expect him to be, beating players 1v1. That is not his game. But what you will understand and appreciate about Fabio Vieira's game is when he plays out wide and he gets that kind of space, he will exploit it with killer passes. We saw a couple of them today, and I think if he plays with Odegaard, and Partey on the right-hand side, it actually serves us in a much better way. So 7 out of 10 for Fabio, he can actually do much better. Edin Ketia, 8 out of 10. You don't ask much from your striker. He scored. He's literally created a couple of chances for himself and the other teammates that they actually didn't take. I loved his off-the-ball runs. I loved the fact that he was dropping as deep as the center line to pick up the ball. I mean, that guy really works hard. My problem is his quality. It's not the quality that Arsenal need. And we'll talk about Arsenal's striker problems because Arsenal have actually announced that Gabriel Jesus is going to be out for a couple of weeks. He has had surgery. But Edin Ketia is one player Arsenal have to, feel proud of in this game. He really played very well. So I'll give him an 8 out of 10. Let's come to the substitutions. Martin Odegaard really improved the game, 7 out of 10. He's irreplaceable in the Arsenal side, and that is a bad thing. We've talked about squad depth. We've talked about, one player backing up the other. We've talked about competition. The problem with Odegaard is what he does and the role that Mikel Arteta has specifically created for him. It is not that there are not so many players that can do it at Arsenal. There is none. And the problem is that even in football, I would think of a player like Mikel Oyarzabal is he at Betis? Yeah, Mikel Oyarzabal, the Spanish boy. I think, there are not so many players that are going to be that good. So, Odegaard and the role he plays for us, we will demand that he doesn't pick up injuries. We will demand that he doesn't get suspended. We will also demand that he doesn't suffer from burnout. He has to be a robot for this Arsenal side. But he was very good when he came on. Jorginho was spectacular when he came on as well. He was very, very good. I loved the performance from Jorginho, and the penalty was class. Pure class. So I'll give him a 7 out of 10 as well. Kieran an 8 out of 10. That boy has upgraded in his football. I think people have actually noticed. If you've not noticed it, you're not going to say it. You're never going to see it. He's a very improved player. Very improved. An 8 out of 10 for him. Gabriel Magalhaes, 6 out of 10. I still think there are a couple of problems with his game, especially with mistakes. Leandro Trossard, 7 out of 10. The runs, he's full of life. This season, he's going to be a key influence in that Arsenal team. He's really, really full of life. Like, you can see him do wonders. Marquinhos, 6 out of 10. Came on, didn't have a bad game, didn't have a good game. He was just there. And yeah, player ratings, that's it for me.